Trust that the tree while growing already has its roots. Trust that what you cannot see is already coming to growth. When you're growing a plant, when you're growing a tree, there are two things that they need, and that is sunlight and water. Sunlight's already sorted. You don't need to worry about the sunlight. But to take care of a plant, you need to water it regularly, sometimes every day. And that's the same for every practice in life. You need consistency. You need consistency. Once you start growing a plant, you will water it every day, and you might feel hopeless because you will not see progress for days, weeks, months, or even years. And that can be really disheartening. You may take up a martial art and find out that you're not as physically capable as you imagine yourself to be. You might believe that that means you can never achieve that. You may take up sewing or knitting and find that what you imagined when you read it in books or in films, it was actually much more complex and much more intricate to make clothes with a needle and thread. And at those moments, you will believe that you cannot achieve it in the amount of time you have in your whole life. That's where it gets dangerous. That's where that mindset is wrong. Decades. Sometimes hard to face the fact that gaining a skill, growing your tree, can take years, decades. This plan is awful. It doesn't come together well. It won't give you much satisfaction. However, if you started to write a book and you find out, okay, this plan is awful, it doesn't come together well, it won't give you much satisfaction for a very long time sometimes. There may be days where you feel motivated. I'm very proud of yourself. But most days you will feel unmotivated, and you will feel that your skill is completely in your head and that you are actually completely in the wrong for trying to achieve it. That is wrong. That's wrong. The hardest thing to accept on this subject is that achieving these creative tasks can take a chunk of your life. That is what makes them so incredible to achieve. These small term consistencies that you practice will not give you much satisfaction because its progress is not visible in the short term. This is much like a tree. This is much like starting to grow a plant. The seed has potential. You'll plant it and you will grow by watering it slightly every day, a few drops. And for days and weeks and months, it will not grow. It will not grow. And you will believe that you've wasted your time, that you should throw it away. That's not true because what you don't see is the roots of the tree. Particularly at the beginning when a tree is growing, the roots are what will grow first. They will grow the strongest and the fastest. The issue with that is that you don't see them. It's so hard to lose hope in your goal because you don't see the roots. You don't see the foundation. You don't see your mind coming up with ideas and subconsciously figuring out how to solve goals, creating music, writing poetry, writing a novel, building a collection of art, making clothes. There are so many things. Baking, cooking, all of these things at first you will be awful at. And when you practice them, you will not believe there is progress made. Every time you fail and every time you water that plant and you don't see progress, there is progress. Subconsciously, you will see what you're doing wrong. And subconsciously, that is when you will see That is when you will see the stalk of the tree, of the plant. The stalk will grow once progress becomes visible, but that does not mean that you could stop watering it. Once you see that progress, you keep watering. You keep visiting that habit every day and you keep honing that skill. Practice and practice and practice until it becomes a tree. And even then, you might still want to water that plant. You might still want to hone that creative skill. Finish that passion project. Finish that novel. There will be a point when your consistency will become obvious, and the mundane task of watering it every day for years and years on end will have paid off. It will. It will. And once it becomes a tree, that's when you know you've completed it. That's when you know you've achieved your goal, and that's when you know you can step back and look at your achievement. So this is my tree. I'm growing and it's got netting around to keep the roots from growing too far. I'm growing a bonsai tree. I've been growing that for 1 month. It does not look after germination, which is another month. Consistency is inseparable from progress. Consistency is inseparable from progress. You need to work at something for years and years and years, and you will not see progress for years and years and years. But there will be a breakthrough. There will be a point where you can look back and see everything you've done was worth it. I'm going to come back and make another video on the 24th of November to see that this tree has grown.